over to you. Thank you. All right, we are ready to begin the program tonight. Thank you all for coming. We're very excited for our speakers. We have Senator Clay Yarborough and we have Representative Kiyan as our speakers to talk to you about what's been going on and what they've been doing for us in Tallahassee. Is this too loud? No. Okay, I feel like it's reverberating. My name is Maria Mark. I'm the president of Beaches Watch, so welcome to our August meeting. We are a membership organization, so we would ask you to either join, rejoin, or make a donation to our organization. The memberships are $5 for students, $15 for individual, and $20 for family. And your donation helps support our community initiatives, such as our Give Back Award that we give in December to a deserving nonprofit that has really gone above and beyond in enhancing the quality of life for our Beaches residents. We also award a scholarship to a Fletcher High School senior in honor of Flan Sharp, who was one of our biggest community servants, and that's $1,000. So we would appreciate your membership or any donation. We have just a few announcements to make, and then we'll start our program. First, if you would please silence your cell phones or put them on vibrate. And before we begin. So we video all of our meetings. It will be loaded to our YouTube channel tomorrow at Beaches Watch 2012. There will also be a link to our website that you can access the video. So please share that with your neighbors and friends who are not able to come tonight. Talk about our membership. We'll recognize elected officials. So first we have Sandy Golding, who is Jackson Beach City Councilor. We have Corey Bylam, who's mayor of Neptune Beach. And we have Curtis Ford, who is mayor of Atlantic Beach. Thank you all for coming. I'd like to also recognize our newest board member, who is Carrie Chen. Carrie, you'll stand. We're very excited that Carrie decided to join our board. He is a former Neptune Beach City Councilman. Okay. Let's see. Also, I want to do a congratulations, and maybe if they're in the audience, Teresa and Jen Christoph. Are they here by chance? No. So they are our early bird renewal prize winner, and they will receive a $50 gift certificate to Buddha's Thai Bistro in Jacksonville Beach. Great place for Thai food if you love Thai. Even if you don't, you've never had it, I highly recommend it. So, as you all know, it's budget time, so workshops are being held in the respective beaches, communities. Atlantic Beach will hold their workshop on Monday, August 11th, starting at 5 p.m., and again on Monday, August 25th at 5 p.m. in the City Commission Chamber. Neptune Beach budget workshops, they'll be held Monday, August 18th, beginning at 4 p.m. This will be their second review. The subject matters that we'll be discussing will be police department, city clerk, human resources, community development, the senior center, and IT. Jacksonville Beach, their budget workshop will also be held in council chambers. That will be on Monday, August 11th from 5 to 7, and their subjects will be public works, planning, and redevelopment. So this is really a time for you as citizens to really get involved in the budget process, so you know how and where your dollars are being spent, and as well as advocating for maybe areas that you feel like the community could use some more resources. So please, if you can, attend. It really is very important and it's very educational. Bless you. So save the date. Our September meeting will be held Wednesday, September 3rd at 7 p.m. We are still determining what that subject matter will be, and as soon as we've confirmed, we will announce that in our newsletter as well as on our website. So I'd just kind of like to know how you guys heard about our meeting. Just raise your hand. Beaches leader? Okay. Facebook, our Facebook page. Yay. Our newsletter. Okay, we're reading our newsletter. That's great. The news email, Jacksonville Today, I don't know if you subscribe to that, but they list all of the meetings that's going on in the different counties as well as meetings here at the beaches. Our Beaches Watch website. And friends, neighbor, word of mouth. Wow, I can't believe how many of you have, I mean, that's probably the biggest way you guys hear about us is from your neighbors. So nice that you're talking to your neighbors. Okay. So tonight, as I said, we have our town hall with Senator Yarborough and Representative Michael. And before we introduce our speakers, I do have a few house rules that I do want to share with you guys, so to ensure that we have a nice, civil meeting. So again, thank you all for coming tonight. After their presentation, we will open the floor up to Q&A. So please keep in mind these few things to ensure we have meaningful dialogue and civility. Representative Michael and Senator Yarborough are our state representatives. Even though the national issues can blur the lines of what issues they can directly address, please keep your subject matter to local and state issues. We will maintain proper and respectful decorum at all times. No shouting or other aggressive behavior will be permitted. If anyone does not maintain respectfulness, you will be asked to leave the room immediately. Please raise your hand and wait to be recognized before asking your question. We ask that you keep your questions succinct so everyone will have ample time to participate. If your question requires further engagement, we may allow some dialogue to occur, but not to the point that it dominates the Q&A session. We do have index cards on the back of the table. If you would prefer to write your question down, one of our board members will can give you the card if you raise your hand, and once you've written your question down, if you raise your hand, she will pick it up, and then we will ask them at the end of the live session if we have the time. We normally end our meetings at 8 o'clock, but given deference to our representatives, we may run a little bit later depending on audience participation. So, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our speakers. Senator Clay Yarborough, he grew up in Northeast Florida and graduated from UNF with a bachelor's in business administration. Clay served 8 years on the Jacksonville City Council and in his final year as president. He then went on to serve 6 years in the Florida House of Representatives. He currently represents the 4th District, which is comprised of Duval and Nassau counties, where he has served since 2022 and is currently serving his second term until 2026. Clay and his wife Jordan have 4 boys. Representative Kiyan is a Jacksonville native and retired credit manager. She graduated from the Wagner Leadership Institute, where she studied practical ministry. She currently serves in the House of Representatives as our District 16 representative. Kiyan has served in the House since 2022 and was re-elected in 2024. Her second term is set to expire in 2026. District 16 boundaries include all the 3 beaches, areas east of Southside Boulevard to north of Beach Boulevard, and most of the area east of Hodges, south of Beach Boulevard. Kiyan and her husband Bobby have 3 children. Their family experienced a tragic loss when their son Brandon was killed in an auto accident involving an illegal alien who had been deported twice. This profound experience has deeply influenced her commitment to public safety and her ongoing dedication to serving the families of Florida. We will begin with Senator Yarborough, and I will. Could you wait to see everyone?
So hi, how's everybody?
Great, thank you for asking.
Thank you. Well, Maria, thank you. While we're getting it, it's probably me, it's something I do with PowerPoint is the reason it might. Oh, thank you. Okay, thank you, Maria. I appreciate that. I was going to say thank you, though, to Maria, to Councilwoman Golding for the invitation for tonight. I'm really excited to be here. I can't remember if I know it wasn't last year, it might have been 2 years ago when Rep. Michael and I had the esteemed invitation to come and to be with you at that time. And thank you again for accommodating us. I know Wednesday is the usual night of the meeting, and today's Thursday, obviously, so we really appreciate you working with us on the schedules so that we can do it, and we're really excited to be here. So thank you for coming tonight. So what we wanted to do is give you an overview. I know there's some topics of interest that we were made aware of ahead of time that were of interest to the group, so we're going to go through those. I'll cover some, and Rep. Michael's going to cover some of those. But before we do that, we wanted to kind of break the ice a little bit and see how up everybody is on their Florida trivia. Now don't worry, it's multiple choice, so everybody's got a good sporting chance. And my aide Paul, who's sitting right here on the front row, has a bag of goodies. So if you answer correctly, then he's going to give you a treat that you can have. So we'll get started with that, just to start off here a little bit. All right, first one. How many seats are in the Florida Senate? Who answered that before? See, now, John, you already knew that because you've been around the process for a while. So I guess we'll give him a piece. We'll give him a piece. That's okay.
Just give him the bag.
You might know the answers already. Okay. All right, it is 40, shocker. It is 40. You either do that or you saw my notes ahead of time, so that's all right. How many, John, how many seats are in the Florida House?
120.
There are 120, yes. All right. So the gentleman on the front row, and then Miss Jackie sitting at the table. She answered too. She knows she's been around the process for a while too. So Paul, you can give Miss Jackie one over there too. Okay. This one is located south of Tampa. What Florida city is home to the Bishop Planetarium and the Parker Manatee Aquarium? Is it Bradenton, Port Charlotte, Sarasota, or Venice?
Bradenton.
Who said Bradenton?
Bradenton.
Right there, near Ford. Got that one. All right. It is Bradenton. Okay. All right. Now the next one I usually get shouts right away because I guess most people know it or have been there. But which city in Central Florida hosts the annual Florida Strawberry Festival? Lake Mary, Mount Ward, Ovidio, or Plant City? We have enough for the whole room? I don't know who said it first, but everybody got that one pretty much right. It's Plant City.
Oh, it's in Yarborough. May I add also
Sure.
that Plant City is not named for a plant. It's named for Henry Plant, the railroad magnate, who was a peer of Henry Flagler.
I need to add that to my trivia too. I didn't get that. Thank you. All right. Now, this one's a neat one. What is Florida State Gem? Is it the Moonstone, the Blue Diamond, the Oval, or the Pirate Line? If you want candy, raise your hand. If you think you know the right one. Anybody? The answer may surprise you. Destiny. It is the Moonstone. And you know what's funny about that? Florida's the Sunshine State, but our stone is the Moonstone. It's just kind of funny. Now, for any who have been to Tallahassee, if you've been in the Capitol building, those of you who've been there, you know in the marble up in the rotunda ceiling area between the House and the Senate, it's kind of cool because all these state symbols are written there. If you recall, for those who have visited, so it's kind of neat. All these are there and tells you more fun facts about Florida. It also includes this one. What is the state honey of Florida? Did you know we have a state honey of Florida? Is it gallberry, avocado, wildflower, or tupelo? It is not wildflower. Oh, that's very good. Anybody?
Is it tupelo?
It is tupelo, yes. Yes, he got that one. All right. Okay, that's very good. All right, here we go with the last one. What is the coldest Florida temperature? The coldest Florida temperature ever recorded, and it wasn't in January when it snowed over most of the state. Is it, not that these feel that much different from each other, but was it 2, 0, -2, or 6? It's not 6. -2. Yes, -2. As a bonus, does anybody know when that was?
1986.
It was not 1986. That was cold, but it wasn't that. It's farther back. She said 1927. It's actually farther back. It was February 13th, 1899. It was 10 degrees in Jacksonville, -2 in Tallahassee. They had one front in Miami. It was 29. I don't know if they own overcoats down there. It's kind of good. Anyway, all right, that was the last one. Thanks for playing the game, everybody. That's just breaking the ice a little bit here. No pun intended. Just breaking the ice a little bit. All right. So a few of the topics I'm going to cover, I'll start with what we call the Live Local Act, and that was passed in 2023 by the legislature, signed into law by the governor, and there were some changes made this year to the Live Local Act, and it's fine if we have questions a little bit later about that. There's a little bit of detail to it. I try not to be too wordy on the slides, but some of the topics that we're covering have a decent amount of detail to them, so we just wanted to make sure everybody is informed about it. So one of the provisions in the Live Local Act expansion this year was to allow local governments to approve the development of affordable housing on parcels owned by religious institutions. That was not included a couple of years ago. We did get some input from some of those who wanted to be included in that, and so it would allow housing if there's a religious institution. It doesn't force it, but if the religious institution would like to engage in that, then it's okay for the local government to approve it if it fits all the rest of the laws that apply. Also, it provides that if a proposed development is on parcels within a historic district that is listed on the National Register, a local government may restrict the height of the proposed development and require compliance with local regulations relating to architectural design. Again, just in keeping with other aspects of local zoning and all of that. Another provision, it requires local governments, upon request of an applicant, to reduce parking requirements for a proposed development by 15% if the development meets certain criteria. And what that is basically if the development is near maybe a transit hub, or if it is near other parking that's available for use, like parking garages or other spaces that are already available, the applicant for the development can say, hey, we're because of this other parking that's not far away, we can still meet the need that our residents have or that our use has, and then they can seek that reduction in parking by 15% or up to 50% if they wish to, from getting approval by the local government to do that. Also, two other provisions, the main provisions that are part of it, prohibiting local governments from imposing a building moratorium that delays the permitting or construction of a multifamily or mixed-use residential development. An exception to that would be if there is an issue like flooding or water or sewer issue, something like that, and a moratorium is put in place. I think there's an allowance for maybe up to 90 days for something like that. If it's something that applies to all the properties in the area that's affected, but just to be singled out because there may be a desire not to allow the development to happen, that's not something that's allowed just for you to put a moratorium in the case of the local government. So broad application, okay, but not just to single out that development and that kind of thing on moratorium. And then the last high point is creating an annual reporting requirement for local governments to transmit to the state a report that says, if there's any litigation that's come up because of developments that may be happening, and also what the progress of the mixed-use and multifamily developments are within their respective jurisdictions, so the state can see how it's going. And really, the life of the Live Local Act was only a 10-year whenever it was put in 2023. So it's actually, the provisions are set to expire in 2033, which is still a lot of time for development and different things to take effect and happen. But the state wants to see how it's going, and the leaders who wanted to put this in and put it before us in the legislature want to see the progress and that kind of thing, and see really if the main goal is being met, which is helping folks out there to maintain housing affordability and live near where they work and live in their own communities and not have to commute even farther depending on what the situation is and that kind of thing. So that was kind of the impetus behind it, and that's some highlights there. Moving on to another important topic, last year in particular, during our session in 2024, we put in a number of provisions to further protect Florida's children, especially as it relates to social media and human trafficking and other things related to that. And so a few of those items with the social media companies, they have to perform age verification. We know that is not always an easy thing to do, but we also know with enhancements in technology that we've seen over the past, especially decade, we know there are technologies that they can use. If they don't already know the information that's been given to them voluntarily, then they can find ways through third parties and other vendors that are lawful for them to be able to make sure that they're not putting content in front of minors that, for example, would be only for adults to see or that they should see, mature content and things of that nature. So if they're under 14, one of the things is if they're under 14, you can't have an account. If you're 14 or 15, you can do it with parental consent. And then if you're over the age of 15, then you were able to have an account. The other thing, again, relating to adult material and potentially harmful material, entities that publish such have to verify the age, and they can't distribute to anyone under 18 years old. It just makes sense. It was in the news, I think today or yesterday, the Attorney General of Florida, James Zuthmeyer, actually had to file a suit against 4 companies that are doing business in Florida because they have chosen to willfully violate this provision and are putting out content very easily accessible to minors, and that is not allowed now under Florida law. So that was just announced this week as far as that new election. Adults are prohibited, this one just makes sense too, are prohibited from engaging in explicit verbal or written communication to a minor. It's just, again, common sense in my mind anyway. And then lastly, this was put in last year, we found not that it was lawful for someone under 18 to be working in an adult entertainment establishment, but there was a bill that the city of Jacksonville passed. Some of you may have seen coverage in the news a few years ago, but a bill that the city of Jacksonville passed, I think it was then Councilwoman Leanna Cumber who ran it, that said the adult entertainment venues in Jacksonville would not employ anyone under 21. But again, in particular, even under 18, there have been calls to the National Human Trafficking Hotline by young, it could be men and women, it's not just limited to girls. It could be girls and boys or men and women who have said that they were first engaging in commercial sexual activity as young as 14 years old. So it's not just 18 and then it goes and you could be a victim or be a target of human trafficking when you come out of the club or something like that. The laws have been more, more not fluid, have been more lax and lenient in some of these areas over time, but we know it's not just adult entertainment, but we know that's one of the areas through which individuals can get involved in human trafficking and can be targeted and can be spotted by some of these clowns, I'll just call them, that have ill intent and want to pull them off, and then some of them never get seen again. And so we thought it would be a good thing to model a state law after what Jacksonville did. That law that I just mentioned, the Councilwoman Cumber had done, was challenged in federal court, but it was upheld in favor of the city. And so it became law in Jacksonville. Once that was upheld, court was done with its action. And so last year, thankfully, we passed and the governor signed the same law to apply to all of Florida so that we could cut in and try to get the recognition that we get from Florida being number 3 in the country for human trafficking. We want to cut that down. You don't want that for anybody, but we definitely don't want that, that association in Florida. So is it a fix-all? No. We realize that, but it's one way that we can help add another plank in that platform to protect minors in Florida. In this case, protect, again, it's not just limited to women. It can be mostly young and men, or boys and girls, and those who may otherwise get pulled off into this seedy activity and unsafe environment. So very, very important. Proposed property tax reform. So that's a big topic now too. You may have seen in the news, or you may have heard the governor at some of his recent press events over the last couple of months mention we need to do property tax reform. He's even gone so far as to say, why don't we just totally eliminate property taxes? Now, the state does not get property tax revenue. That goes to local governments. School districts levy their taxes as well. The state mostly derives revenue through sales tax and other forms of revenue. But I haven't spoken with the governor about this personally. I have not seen any models about it. We have not been presented with a proposal yet to consider. What I will tell you is, if that is a conversation starter where I could see it going, again, not just, this is just me spitballing it, but where I could see this going is maybe there's some process or proposal that is thrown out maybe as we go along to say that once you hit a certain age, then you're exempt from property taxes. Once you've lived in your home for 10 years, maybe then you're exempt from property taxes. It could be any number of, or it could be any form of an outcome that comes out of that conversation. I'll tell you, and this is from wearing my local government, former local government hat from Jacksonville, the first place my mind goes if you say, well, let's just eliminate property taxes, how do you pay police? How do you pay fire? How do you cut the right-of-ways? How do you cut the parks and the grass in the parks? And how do you maintain all your public facilities out there? So I don't have an answer to that question yet. I am open to the topic and look forward to hearing more about it. But just at the moment, I have to see how we can get there without totally devastating local government. That's just, and that's whether it's a big city or a small city or a small county. That can grossly affect a city like Jacksonville or our beach communities. But you have these other counties that aren't far from us, like Baker and Columbia and Sewanee and all the ones between here and Tallahassee and everywhere else in the state that don't even have a big budget. They would really feel that. They already have to come to us in budget time and say, hey, we don't have a tax base. Can you please give us some money to build a new hurricane shelter or a police station, or a courthouse. You know, some of these counties that just don't have the revenue. So that's a big deal. Stay tuned on that. More to come, and you know, we have a balanced solution on it. So we'll see where that goes. Excuse me. We always get a question about property insurance. So I want to give you a really quick update about property insurance. We did some reforms back in 2022, working with the governor, working with, in my case, working with the House. Our Senate leadership and House leadership worked on this, and we wanted to make sure we passed some good legislation. And listen, we know we did not get into the situation that we have been in overnight, and I wish we could wave the wand and just say, oh, it's all done overnight, and you know, rates are going to drop drastically, and we'll just see it all go the other way. Well, it took a while to get into the mess, and so it's going to take a while to get out of that. But the good news that we wanted to share is that since these reforms were put in almost 3 years ago, Florida's market is continuing to stabilize, and we've had 14 new companies come in that are doing business and writing policies, which is also really good because Citizens Property Insurance, which is the state-backed and taxpayer-backed insurer that we have in Florida, was about to buckle under its own weight from all the additional policies and people that were having to rely on it. And so with these new companies that have come in, we're seeing more of those policies offload from Citizens, which is very good for you as a taxpayer, very good for the state too, when we're trying to balance the budget. So the other point here is, despite the strong hurricanes that we've had over the past year or two, the companies have reported much more net income. I know that may not be a pleasant thing to read, but they have to be reporting positively or they're not going to write policies. So there's a balance there. And it also has reversed the 2022 loss that they had, which you can see was not any small amount of money. So that's why we saw we were seeing more contraction. And now we've seen some that are willing to come in, willing to eat more of the risk, and come in and help our folks. Also, it's been critical of the growth and stabilization of the market. Insurance costs fell 0.9% in the fourth quarter of 2024. And since January of last year, 27 companies have filed for a rate decrease. 41 companies have requested no change or a 0% increase. And then according to some of our financial publications, Florida actually had the lowest average rate increase in the nation, with an average statewide increase of only 1%. So we're hoping for more, we're pushing for more. We want more relief, we want it faster. And I can tell by the room too, you're thinking, it wasn't just 1% for me. I can follow that too. But it's taken some time for us to get back in a better position. So we're sensitive to that. We don't want to continue to change the policies. The ink is dry on what we did a few years ago. And it's not that we can't consider tweaks and that we won't moving forward, but we don't want to keep changing policies too quickly and cause these writers of these policies and cause the market out there that would invest in Florida and help our folks to say, it's too uncertain again, we're not going to do it, and pull back out, because that ends up working against all of us even worse. So, again, it'll take some time. I wish we could say it was quicker, but we are sensitive to it. It affects us personally too. I'm not an insurance person. I lean heavily on those who are a little bit more immersed in that topic, specifically. But in the research I've done since we've had to work on this, I think we're moving in a better direction. It's just not happening as quick as we would like. So that said, I will now, if it's okay, Maria, I will turn it over to my good friend and colleague in the legislature, Rep. Michael. She's going to start out with some goodies with some tax relief and then talk about some other topics. Thanks, Rep.
How are you all doing? I know he asked you the same question. I just want to thank everybody for being here, and thank you, Senator Yarborough. Thank you to all of the mayors, all of our leaders. Senator Yarborough is my partner on the Senate side, because all of our bills that we carry, we have to have a Senate companion. For those of you that are in here that don't know that, we have to have somebody on the Senate side. So he often carries a lot of our bills, particularly dealing with the beaches in our district that we share together. So let's move on. All right, the sales tax holidays and tax relief. The state awarded $1.3 billion for the sales tax holidays and tax relief. Until now, Florida remained the only state with a sales tax on commercial leases. And That became effective July 1st, 2025. And it's going from 2%, this is eliminating the tax, from 2% down to 0%. The bike to school savings, how many parents do we have in here, or grandparents taking their kids? Yes, this is huge. The ability to save a little bit of money for our kiddos going bike to school is a big deal. And we're fortunate to live in a state that doesn't have sales tax when it comes to other commodities. So our sales tax, bike to school sales tax savings is definitely great. And it goes on all the way through to the end of August, I believe. Year-round disaster preparedness. I know that there was a press release that was done yesterday with Senator Scott. And they were talking about this. I think we do a good job as a state, wouldn't you all say, with preparing and responding to disasters and hurricanes. Florida has now permanently eliminated the sales tax on several essential items related to disaster preparedness. I just want to add to that, I hope that people really learn how to utilize, what do you call those big, that brings electricity? Generators. He's the electrician, so I have to make sure he tells me, that he gives me the right word. Generators in their home, because I do know that we got a call about an emergency that was not good with the generators being used and not being used properly in the home. So you all just be careful with that. The health and safety items. They are now including the fire extinguishers, smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, sunscreen. I don't know how many people knew that. I mean, that's pretty good. Insect repellent. God knows we need that here. Amen. Can I get an amen? It's like we have ninja mosquitoes or something. I don't know. I don't know where they come from. Bicycle helmets. And we will go on to state park admissions. I am a fan. Anybody else in the room of making sure you go to the state parks? If you don't, we have beautiful, the best. Amen, Sandy? State parks. I think, living in other parts of the country, I think we have some of the best state parks. And so the sales tax is permanently eliminated on admissions to our Florida state parks. And for veterans, if you're at 100% disability, then it should be free for you. If it's not, call our office. We can handle that for you. The gold, silver, and platinum bullion. Wow. This was pretty good. Sales tax is permanently eliminated on purchases of gold, silver, and platinum bullion when purchased and used worth under that will keep up. The hunting, camping, and fishing sales tax holidays. I know that we're right here where we have a lot of fishermen. The FWC, I'm trying to get us connected where you all will talk to the FWC whenever we have events. The sales tax holiday period was created for September 8th through the 31st, and that's tax-free on camping, fishing, and hunting supplies. My husband's a fisher, so he loves this, and we love to camp. Used to be a hunter. I think until you hunted like wild boars, and you became the hunted from the wild boars, so that didn't last long. We also have sales tax freeze for on local communities. The freeze is extended on the local services tax. In 2023, the state froze the tax until January 1st, 26. It's now extended till 2031. Am I going too fast if you all need? Because you can pretty much read for yourself. And then the budget highlights, these are appropriations. I carried appropriations for all three of our beaches. We carried them because, again, I have to have the senator on the other side. And these are the appropriations that were awarded. Jacksonville Beach, I believe, the response that I got from the powers that be that are ahead of my pay grade was that they felt that their appropriation was best dealt with from a grant proposal. I don't agree with that. fought hard. I know the senator fought hard on his side. And neither one of us could move the needle or beat him over the head if you really want to know.
We'll push it again.
We'll push it again. We'll keep pushing because I just don't like that. The vacation rentals, this is the hot topic, I think. Maybe not. Maybe the next one.
There are plenty of other ones.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
We need help.
We don't like it. You know, I know myself, and I don't want to speak for you, Senator, but I know that we both are very much in agreement that we will continue to fight back to preserve and to represent you all, because it's lopsided, as you know, and it's not fair. And we are aware of that, and it's something that I know we stay focused on, because I don't like losing. So when I can't get something moved in the direction that I want to serve the people that I represent, and that elected me in office, then it bothers me even more. So what we're going to do, and what I've asked from our mayors as well, not to put you all on the spot, I apologize if I am, is I asked, please give me some type of legislation as well. If they can put their head, come up with something, I don't know. And then we can try and come up with a bill to try and preserve us in some kind of way, but either way, we will continue to stand and support and fight against vacation rentals. And I want you all to know, it really makes me, I get kind of emotional because I know, and I hear, and our office hears, all of the complaints, the problems that vacation rentals endure, all the crime that comes with it, and as a mother, it really does bother me, especially a mother that has lost a child, the tragedies that follow behind it. So I just want you to know that we will not take our finger off the pulse. You got two fighters here, so we're not going anywhere. Well, maybe this is the hot topic. I don't know. Illegal immigration in Florida's role. And this is my wheelhouse, and it's because of the story, as you all heard, of how I got here. What is it? What is my passion that drove me to run for office? And unfortunately, it was the death of our child at the hands of twice deported illegal, only getting 2 years jail sentence time. And that is, you become an expert. That is the passion behind why I'm here. I just don't want that to happen to anybody else. So unfortunately, I've had to become sort of an expert in dealing with illegal immigration. And I want to commend those who are here, or you have family members that came in the right way, because that's all we're saying. Let us know who you are. We need to know who you are, because what other country can you go in? Not many that you can actually go, stay as long as you want. They don't know who you are. Go and break their laws, go against their borders, and just set up shop. America, we just got to get this right. We've got to and it's been a problem for a long time. And it's on both sides. Because I can tell you, in 23, 22, passing illegal immigration bills, trying to get this right, this wrong, I can tell you I had some on both sides that were fighting me. Because it's a moneymaker for some people.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, for me, that's unacceptable. It's one of those things where we have to make sure we put American citizens first. So I passed a lot of legislation in 22 and 23 dealing with illegal immigration. I have some of that here, don't have it on the slide, and I can answer questions about it, but basically demanding that you must be a legal citizen to get a driver's license. If you have a driver's license out of the state of Florida, and you come here and you're here illegally with a driver's license, we will not recognize it. Basically saying that if you cross the state of Florida, cross into the state of Florida, cross the Florida state lines, let me make sure I get that right, I say that right, from another state and you're undocumented, you're here illegally, you're coming in illegally, and you have 2 or more people with you, that really constitutes as human smuggling. Let's see, it also made sure that we demanded that no state IDs were issued, because we knew with the state IDs, there's a whole lot that can be done. that would not be good for us as a state. So we made sure that we bad nosed. We took, for the first time, we passed E-Verify. And that we took it from not being even existent to employers with 25 or more employees now have to run every employee through the E-Verify system. We didn't have that before. Before, it was an I-9 form. The form could just go in a drawer. Nobody saw it again. Now this is electronic. It can be pulled up. We can see who's hiring who. Are they here illegally? And so on and so forth. So that's it. That's all I have.
Thank you. I have two wireless mics if you would like to. So go ahead and just go in the middle there. Everybody can see you. Okay, so we'll start with the questions, and if you're ready. Well, from the audience.
Do you have the cards you filled out?
I do, but I don't know if Maria wants to open it up.
Well, I'll open it up to people who want to ask the questions from the audience, and then we'll ask the questions, the written questions. So,
But they are ours, aren't they?
These are questions.
well, it was an option.
Let's do one more.
All right.
Well, what I can do is tell you what most of the questions focused on, so we don't get bogged down with one issue. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
That'd be great.
I got
Good evening. First of all, I'm Ellen, and we got 18 cards, and I broke them down by topic. There's some more. Okay, so anyway, he had, all right, 6 of them were about education. Well, let me say, 6 of them were all important, and I don't think we're going to get to all of them. 6 of them were about education. 3 were about homeowners insurance, and 1 was about Medicaid. 3 were about the facility known as Alligator Alcatraz and the way that was being paid for. 1 was about redistricting trends in other states and whether we're looking at that. 1 is about gun legislation, particularly allowing more young people to get buy guns. 1 was about state DOGE in the context of voter-initiated amendments. 1 was about HB 1718. 1 was about public sector labor contracts. 1 was about child labor. And 1 was about how you decide on legislation from your constituents. So I just think, to be fair, we need to at least maybe start with the education issue. And these are long, but I'm just going to say that the gist of it is what will you do to prevent public tax dollars going toward vouchers and looking at teacher pay, and we know that's low, but if we use billions of dollars slated for private school vouchers, that's going to hurt our public school teachers. So what will you do about that and preserving traditional education? Sorry if I'm just paraphrasing any questions. So those were the high points on education.
Okay, no, that sounds good.
To both of you.
That sounds good. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Good? Okay, all right, thank you. I don't mind kicking it off with that. Thank you. And thank you for listening to us for the presentations. We appreciate that very much. So with regard to education, just in full disclosure, I am a graduate of Duval County Public Schools. My dad is a retired 41-year public educator. He was a teacher and also a guidance counselor. He did a number of years in Alabama before our family moved to Florida when I was about 4 years old. And then he did another, I don't know how many of the years to add up to 41, 5 years in the drug program. And as I said, a teacher and a guidance counselor. So very many kitchen table conversations about the importance of education and what needed to happen with that and all. So we do have the scholarship and voucher program in Florida, which was put in more formally a couple of years ago. And so that does allow families, parents in particular, the choice of where they would like to send their student to school and use public funds to do that. They are taxpayers. In my mind, we are still in keeping with what the Florida Constitution says in Article 9, which says you have to adequately fund the public education system in Florida, but it does not say that you cannot also allow taxpayers and Floridians to be empowered to make decisions that they feel are best for their students. So whether that's a homeschool situation, whether that's a charter school, whether that's a private school, whatever form of education, the money follows the student, and that is what was put in through that program. Now the question is very relevant about teacher pay. Again, as the son of a teacher, that's a very important topic. I've heard different models, I've seen different rankings about where we may be in relation to the other parts of the country. Is there room for improvement? I would argue yes, as far as our teachers go. I know we have some in the room. So that is very important to us. And so, but we can also, we have to balance the budget every year when we deal with education and every other topic, but we do have to adequately fund the public school system, but I'm not willing to tell parents that they don't have the option with their tax dollars that they pay in, that they cannot choose what the best educational option is for their students. That's just me, that's one member, other members can feel different. Certainly won't speak for the rep or any other members I serve with, but that is a position that I was very willing to support and make sure parents have that option in Florida. But can we work on it and do better? Yes, absolutely. I think we need to.
And I would add to that, I'm also a product of public education, but also going to school here in Duval County, I also was a part of integrating schools, which was a bad idea in my opinion. And as a minority, I would say the best thing that has happened to the minority communities, to all of the communities, but particularly the minority communities, or the underserved schools, as they would say, is school choice. I have a grandson that's 7 years old, and I'm glad that his dad has an option to send him, homeschool him, or send him to whatever school they want to, because if it was according to his zip code, he would be in a school that is, now they're still struggling. Thank God that now Duval County we are now rated A+ schools. So we're making progress, but I can tell you that I would not want him stuck according to his zip code where he would be educated. I don't think that's fair to children.
Thank you. Just to follow up on it, I think the main concern as far as the questions are, what is the legislature doing about teacher pay? Because everybody's with school choice, they can go to these private schools now, they can go to these charter schools which are not held to the same standards as our public schools. So our public schools will continue to be kind of mediocre in that as far as teachers' pay, but because how is that tied? I mean, I think they really want to know how we can increase teachers' pay for public school teachers.
Fair enough. I really hear two parts there. Maria, thank you for mentioning that specifically again. But really there's two parts, because the state still has the ability in the public school system, the traditional public schools, to increase teacher pay, which this year there was an increase. I know there could be different opinion about whether it should be at the level it was or it could be more, and that's what we're talking about. The legislature and the governor and the state still have the ability to make that increase, even while making the investment for parents to be able to choose which avenue to choose for their student and for their children. And so again, the money follows the student. We have seen different numbers for different counties. Duval County actually shows an increase for the coming school year. It's not a huge increase, but it does show a slight increase over last year in the number of enrolled students that are set to start school in the next week or so. And the money comes in, there's a base student allocation, and then there are numbers that come in, whether there's an ESE need that student has, or if there's other classes they may take that are different than just the traditional mainstream path, and then more dollars are put in, and then it's different whether it's elementary, middle, or high school as well. And so there's a lot that goes into that formula. There was a rather drastic proposal this year for the budget we just approved to change how AP courses and other courses, mainly at the high school level, are funded. That did not go through. We heard from a lot of parents, and I think the resounding end result of that was probably better to leave it where it is. But We're always trying to find ways to make the right decisions. I'm a layman. I was the son of an educator, but I'm a layman in the financial process. So hearing from folks is very helpful to me. There's some in the room I had more than one conversation with about this issue. But that's something that we need to hear from folks about. Do we always get it right? No. It's a system made of imperfect people that are also making the decisions. So there's things that we can work on moving forward. But at the end of the day, as far as the school choice issue, I believe we're on the right side of it, and it's okay if someone disagrees. It's okay. We choose the path that's best for our 4 boys, and every other parent should be able to choose the path that they believe is best for their student. The money should follow the student. The parents are in the best place to be able to decide what's best for their children, and we should not deny them.
Thank you. Do you have a question from the audience? Not you, I'm sorry, gentleman behind you. No, you.
Yes, in regards to homeowners insurance itself, what you stated is not the case. I own a bunch of rental properties in different parts of the state. My insurance has gone up 200% in many places, and now the insurance company of last resort has informed me if my property replacement cost is more than $500,000. It doesn't matter if it's in a flood area or not, I got to carry flood insurance. I'm trying to help some of these people afford to stay in their houses. Afford to stay in my apartments. I've not raised my rates in 7 years. But you guys are making it really hard. Between property tax insurance and homeowners insurance, it's just gotten out of control. So what you said is not right. Yep, we're going to do a study, or we put stuff that's going to take a couple of years to implement, but it's not happening. You said that there's slight reductions. Some of the companies are not very good, and Citizens is kicking me out.
So, thank you for bringing it up. So kind of a 2-part question. One, you mentioned there were about 4 or 5 points that I mentioned, so I'd like to know which one was not true, because that can still be accurate, and your situation can still be in truth happening as well. And then my second part of the question, if I could, is what would you propose that we do different legislatively in order to more quickly alleviate the situation? And I say that with honest, sincere curiosity, because I'm not sure what else we can do that still it's going to take time to do it, but I'm open to your suggestion, especially with your investment and the number of properties that you're dealing with. Please, I welcome, and it doesn't have to be right now at this moment. I'll try to put you on the spot. But if you have an idea, I'm open to looking at it and sending it to our policy folks and having them hash through it, because if we can get it better faster for everybody, I'm open to it.
So I'm going to just follow up on that topic to just try to stay focused. A couple of the other questions from the audience is what happened to the insurance industry investigation? Will it be revived? And what specific actions are being taken to prevent price gouging and stabilize the market for homeowners?
And I was specifically wondering about the Miami Herald and Tampa Bay Times issues that revealed that insurance companies were funneling profits into affiliate businesses, letting them claim financial hardship, raise rates, and push for legislative concessions. On the opening day of session, Speaker of the House Danny Perez promised to investigate, but after only a few hearings and no official report, the matter was quietly dropped. What happened to that investigation, and will it be revived? And to his point, what other actions are you going to take?
Thank you, Rachel, for the question. What was that article dated that you're referencing? Is that recent?
It came out in February. It was a study that took place.
Okay, so it's about 6 months old. Okay, and I haven't read that, so I don't know if I could speak to the efficacy or the details specifically with that. We've also gone through the whole legislative session since then. We've also seen the numbers continue to come in that I've shared tonight, that we've heard from the insurance folks. Again, not that we don't have more work to do on it, and that's why I'm sincere in the question to the gentleman's point. What can we do to help the situation even better? But I'm not familiar with the details of the investigation that the Herald suggests is there with that situation. I'd have to research that before I even get an answer.
Because he spoke about it in front of the House at the opening session.
I can't speak for the speaker, I'm not sure.
So the other insurance issue, well, did you want to respond?
I think we responded to the second part of the, Reverend, I don't mean to take over all, but I think we spoke to that from a policy standpoint. But
I can take.
Put another quarter in that.
Just from the House perspective, I can't speak for the Speaker, and myself either, but as a member of the House, I can tell you that this is something that we know we have to bring relief to. I just want to emphasize that. And to the Senator's credit, and what I will overemphasize again is please don't let this be the only dialogue that you all have with us. There are cards on the back of the table from my office that has my information. Please call, make an appointment. We start in October, so we're kind of running out of time. And come and talk to us. Because, you know, when we see you here, but we don't hear you at our office or even in Tallahassee call, then we don't know that this is something that you want us to stay communicating with you about. But we are definitely on it. I mean, I don't know what else to say about that. I think for the insurance, it's just going to take time for the recuperation to actually show. But I agree, I mean, we both agree. We are homeowners, so we see it ourselves. We have had more companies move back to Florida here recently than what we had before, homeowners insurance.
Thank you, Senator. Here's the, do you want to add that?
Yeah, I'd like to ask something that kind of touches upon what we're talking about. And I want to say I commend you for being here and taking action and using the loss of your child to try to make a difference in the world. Some of my question is going to touch upon some of that, and I hope you don't take it as any disrespect at all, because it's not meant in that spirit. You painted a rosy picture with tax cuts, and that's a great Band-Aid. But what I'm not really hearing is structural improvement in systematic issues, and one of them being the property homeowners insurance. And so my question is, with the loss of FEMA and NOAA, the state has no business diverting emergency management funds to support a federal mass deportation program for detainees from other states.
Decorum, and I meant it. So you need to let her ask her question and let our speakers answer, okay? I know you get really enthusiastic about certain topics, but it's only delaying and what you're interested in too may not have a chance to get to. So please be respectful on both sides. Thank you.
Okay, and please understand, there are bad actors. There are immigrants who are evil. There are U.S.-born citizens who are born evil, and they both commit crimes, right? So I'm not saying that we need to allow murderers who are from another country to stay here. That's not what I'm saying. Improvements are needed, generally speaking, for immigration, for sure. But my concern about the slide that you showed is that it wasn't nuanced. It referred to illegal immigrants, okay? There are immigrants in this country who have cases pending, so they're considered illegal. But what's happening is, with the elimination of FEMA and NOAA and the homeowners insurance, it's all the more reason to not divert FEMA funds that are needed for this hurricane season and future hurricane seasons to build an internment camp. That is not only probably sweeping up criminals, or even immigrants who are here illegally, but who haven't committed a crime, or who have authorization to be here, or who have been naturalized. So when a hurricane hits my house and my homeowner's insurance won't cover the cost of a roof, how does diverting those funds to an internment camp help me with that hurricane? That's my question.
Thank you.
And I will say, just keep going. Okay, I will answer to that we have a legal process to come into this country. We need to follow it. There are many immigrants who have followed that process. We have laws. We are a law and order nation. Excuse me. Please. And I'm very well capable of separating my emotion from this issue. However, I will say this, that we have never had a problem when it comes to hurricanes as far as FEMA's reaction, having money that comes through FEMA. We respond very good to hurricanes, national disasters. We've done a good job as a state. So I don't agree with your premise of that you follow through, the thread that you follow through. And the reason that I don't is because we get calls from veterans who are on the street, who have no place to sleep, from seniors who cannot, they got to decide whether to pay their rent or they got to eat for the month. I think it's more important that we take care of our own. Americans have to be first when it comes to our laws, whether you agree with it or not. To answer your question as far as the facility.
Yeah, how does the facility help me for emergency management funding?
There are two different issues.
Correct.
They are absolutely two different issues. And first of all, it's a state-run facility. The federal government is responsible for who goes into the facility, deciding who goes in and who does not. Now, if we handled immigration and we were able to, on the federal level, without it affecting and impacting citizens in the city, I wouldn't be here. Because my son was killed in Jacksonville, nowhere near the border. We know that we have over 2 million illegal aliens that came into our country during the Biden administration, at least. We have got to make sure we know who is here. At your own home, you know who comes in your home. There are people you would never allow to come into your home. We have to know that as a country. Without knowing who is here, without having guardrails, securing our borders, we don't have a sovereign country. We don't have sovereignty. And that's the reality. You know, I'll talk a little bit more. I'm going to answer some questions with the facility. We are in partnership with Florida. It is the federal government that manages that facility. It's here in this state because that's one of the processing centers. Because we've got to get these people out of the country. They need to go back to whatever country and come in the right way, like so many others did. Let me please finish. ICE is who processes them. It is not the state. ICE determines who goes into the facility. That is not the state. Who manages it is state-controlled employees. And these can be, well, I'll say state-contracted employees. That is not,
So my tax dollars are actually going to an internment camp. Thank you for answering my question.
I did not say that. It is, and let me clear that up. Is that what the state is charging to run that facility is being reimbursed from the federal government.
But it's privately owned.
Let's see.
No bid contract?
It is not privately owned. And I want to talk about the 287G program because I was involved before I got elected. We're going with the governor, traveling around Florida to try and get our law enforcement, our LEOs, to cooperate with the 287G program. And this is how that connects with that facility. Because when you have someone here illegally and they're driving, it's not going to be ICE agents that interact with them. It's going to be our LEOs. It's going to be our state law enforcement. It's going to be our local law enforcement. So the 287 is an agreement where they say, okay, I'm going to enforce the federal law. I'm going to make sure that locally our citizens are safe. That's their job. So in coordination with that, we know that they are the ones that are encountering illegals first. Because I can tell you, the person that killed our son, he was considered a law-abiding person until he killed our son. So what are we waiting on? Are we waiting on them to actually break the law again? Because remember, you've already broken the law when you came here illegally and you stayed. Are we waiting on them to kill somebody else? What about fentanyl? You know how many parents I've had to hug because their child was overdosed? They were actually poisoned. They had no idea they were taking fentanyl. They thought they were taking an aspirin. One person that dies because of the borders is too many. And it is worth every bit of this fight. You have anything to say?
Sir.
Hi, thank y'all for being here. Kind of switching back to the topic, I'd like to get back to the insurance thing and things that move around a little bit here.
Can you speak up, please?
Pardon?
Can you speak up,
Yes,
please?
yes. So, on the insurance, I have experienced pretty much what you said, about a 45% increase on my house, and then I happen to be on the board of one of the condominium associations here on the beach, and we saw about a 300% increase. And you asked, well, what could we do? And I would suggest maybe setting up a task force that goes in and looks at the data and really begins to understand exactly how things are being charged, and then maybe we can come up with some answers.
I want to say, to add to that, in the back of the room on comment cards, these are not hate cards, so please don't use them for hate. I have comment cards back there, so if you would fill that out. It's in the back of the room. Destiny, are they back there? They are. Destiny, wave your hand. That's my LA. She works hard. So they're right over there by Destiny. So if you could fill one, if you choose to. If not, we still will take what you suggested.
Thank you. Senator Yarborough, do you have anything to add?
No, I wanted to thank, I think this was, can
You
y'all hear me
have
on
to push
this?
the button because it times
I
out.
tried to. It's,
You have to hold it for about 2 seconds.
that's probably why it's not when I did that. All right, I didn't see the light come back on, but we'll share this one. No, I hear what you're saying. No, I was just going to say that I think it's a good suggestion. We'll take it back and we can work on that. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi, good evening. I am John Lewis Meeks Jr. I'm an Air Force veteran and currently recently elected to be Teacher First Vice President of Juvenile Teach United, AFT Local 3326. Senator Yarborough, it's been a pleasure to see you this evening. I've been a friend of yours since before you went to City Council, so I appreciate your service to our state as well. And a point of pride for Duval County Public Schools is the fact that we are an A school district for the first in your generation. That is something to be very, very proud of. Speaking of choice, I grew up in Clay County, Florida. I went to Warren Park High School, class of 1992. But when I left the Air Force, I was called by God. A voice within me said that I was needed to serve in Duval County, Florida. And I stayed at Mayport since 2000. I've been there for 22 years. And I've seen that school come up ever since. You know the days of Mayport's reputation. But we've had some principals like Katrina McCrae who turned our school around and built our magnet program into a cultural science program which is nationally certified. We have a magnificent international renowned robotics team which just won an international competition over the summer. We have a cultural sciences program which we have students, a student-centered, standard-based looks at the fish and the flora and the fauna of our area. We have a community garden where we donate our surplus food to local kitchens. So my question for you is this. Would you be willing to accept an invitation to come visit us at Mayport Coastal Sciences Middle School to see how and why it's important, as you say, the school choice is, but we give our families a reason to choose our school. So it's my hope that we can invite you to show you what we do best, what our kids do best, most importantly. And thank you very much for your service to our state podium. Thank you.
John, thank you for your service to our country. We appreciate that, and you're a great speaker. It just rolls off. Thank you. But I probably could safely speak for the rep too. I think we both accept your invitation, so thank you. Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
If if I'm not mistaken, your tenants have to pay sales tax, is that right?
Sales tax?
Yes, on their rent?
No.
They don't, okay.
No.
I wanted to clarify that because if we had tax breaks for businesses on sales tax, then we should also have that, you know, for your tenants.
Yeah, but there's no sales tax.
That's good to know. Thank you.
Okay. Any other, yes, sir?
On a different topic, the Republican Party has made it their policy to try and destroy public sector unions and private sector unions. They do not like unions. And they are in the process.
We can't hear you.
I'm sorry. They are in the process of trying to make public sector contracts, labor contracts, unconstitutional, illegal, and unenforceable. I would like to know if you hold that position, and if you don't, what you will do to reverse the Republican Party for attempting to accomplish that fact.
So, thank you. Just okay. Thank you. So just for clarification, you mentioned the party. We are not in session right now and don't have any legislation in front of us because we're not in Tallahassee right now. Are you referring to a federal effort that is current
It's a national
that
effort.
some representatives are working
What
on?
I understand, it's also a Florida Republican Party effort.
I would disagree about it being I'm not chair of the party, I'm not in leadership in the state party. I'm a Republican, but I'm not a part of the party leadership in Tallahassee or anything. That is not something I've seen on their platform or heard them talk about. There could be those in those positions that hold that opinion, but that's not something that I have seen an effort specifically by the party to go after to do what you're talking about.
What is your position on making public sector bargaining illegal?
Just outright to make it
Just
illegal?
outright.
I don't believe I would support making it illegal. I don't think there's anything wrong with public sector bargaining. We have that with public safety. We have it with our representatives of county government. We have it with our school district employees. Outright making it illegal, I don't understand if there's more behind that, but to just outright do that, I haven't heard anybody in Tallahassee suggest that either.
Thank you. Sir?
Thank you. Senator Yarborough, Ms. Michaels, son has to see law. I'm so sorry for your loss. We really appreciate y'all being here. Just one quick aside. I've noticed the property appraiser in Duval County is constantly appraising the values across the board 10% every year, going on a decade. But what I really wanted to ask you about is Florida Statute 509. Because I know on my street, in our community in Jack's Beach, we did not protect ourselves against Airbnbs in 2011 or prior to that. And now we're seeing these home hotels take over properties that no longer single-family homes or whatever they may be, being taken over by people with very deep pockets. And so when we have neighbors that come and go 3-4 times a week, is there any chance we can get some duration limits, even if it's just a week, rather than having these people switch out every day? If you could do that for us, I know many people are going to be very
I'll speak first on the tax issue and the valuation, and then I'll hand it to Rep. Michael on the vacation rental issue because we're going to work on that. So I hear you loud and clear on that, and I think that is one thing that our state's new CFO, Blazing Golia, who was just appointed a couple of weeks ago, has put a target on as far as looking at. It's very valid because you've had, even if you kept the millage rate the same in communities, and this is across the state, not just singling it out here in North Florida, but even if you kept the millage rate the same, and then you just continue to see the valuations of properties keep going up and up, what's been going on with that difference in revenue that keeps coming in? And we know there's inflation, we know it costs more to do things that were less before, but that's something I think they're working now to try to get to the bottom of, and they're working across the state to do that. In fact, they were in Jacksonville today, and they'll be here tomorrow down at City Hall in Jacksonville asking some of those questions. So very valid, and I think everyone across the state would benefit from an answer. Would benefit from an answer to that question. So, but on vacation rentals, I don't know what happened to Mike.
I would love to talk to you some more about that because I absolutely agree. It really does hurt my heart to know what's going on. because I saw the volume of guns. The police here at our beaches confiscated just for one weekend. And I saw the volume of drugs and kids just being kids, where they're young, they just think nothing's going to happen to them. So we've got to fix it. And I'm committed to, I'm committed to my grandson. I'm committed to helping to fix that any way I can. And again, and I wasn't directing this at you, sir, that asked the question, but again, just please, if you have a moment, please put comments on here, your ideas, suggestions, because you guys are coming up with some good things. You're coming up with some good solutions, possible solutions.
Could I add one quick thing just on vacation rentals? One of the reasons that we haven't supported it, that both of us have literally hit the red button and voted no every year when it's come up, with the exception of this year, because they didn't push a bill this year. The reason we voted no is because it would take more of that control from local government. And written in the bill, it says, well, we'll just let the state Department of Business and Professional Regulations oversee any issues, but they're not staffing it. They're not adequately making any provision to do that. If you have, I remember former Jack's Beach Mayor Charlie Latham telling me years ago when he was still mayor, that you had a party at this house, and the neighbor next door, his daughter was outside enjoying the swimming pool, and these younger guys are there, and they're calling and hollering and doing all this other stuff. That was just one example. And the local government basically had its hands tied to be able to do anything about that, about any safety issues, about basically different rules of the game that are there for them. But if you were a hotel down the street, you would be under a much different code, but yet the behavior of your tenants and customers is very similar, if not the same. So hearing loud and clear, and that again is what's driven our no vote, because it would strip local government's ability to have more enforcement ability over these. So until we see a better product, I mean, we're going to vote no.
We got, and you know, I actually try to lobby some of the house members while this is going on every time. You know, vote no on this. What's wrong with you guys? Vote no on it.
And it's not, and just for property owners in the room too who may engage in that, we're not opposed to vacation rentals. What we are opposed to is the regulation, the oversight, the local government's ability to, basically oversee the right kind of operation from the rentals, because you're an investor where your property is, they are too, okay, fine. I may not do that with my property, but so there needs to be a balance to it. And so that's just to add that point of clarification. Some of us may not want them at all, but if they can operate correctly, if local government has the ability to enforce and to make sure they're registered appropriately and all that, I think we can find that, but we haven't seen it. So again, that's why we opposed it.
Thank you. Well, we are at 8:15, actually we're past 8:15, and I really want to be respectful of everybody's time. So if we didn't get to your question, then let me suggest that you use the comment cards that Representative Michael has provided. Senator Yarborough, his legal assistant is here as well. They can give you his contact information. This would be a good time for you to be contacted because you're out of session right now. Committee meetings will start up pretty soon in October. So, so take the time and speak to your representatives one-on-one. That's what they're asking you for. That's what we're encouraging you to do, because that's what makes good citizenship. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate your decorum. And one last request for those who are physically able, if you could help us stack the chairs, we will be out of here much quicker. Yes. Oh wait, sorry.
We're having a licensing on wheels event where you can get your driver's license, your ID